So, for a brief moment in my life, I was involved and a part of an ayahuasca cult. And this started in July 2020 when I decided to drive up to upstate New York for a ceremony weekend. And yeah, it was for healing, for transformation, for reconnection to this ancestral medicine that I've had experience with from holding space in Peru. And it was a very powerful weekend. And I quickly became liked and desired by the medicine carrier, by the facilitators, by the space holders, by the inner circle of people that frequent this medicine circle. So I was liked, I was wanted, I was welcomed, and yeah, I also was very open and vulnerable, and I didn't have anywhere to go. Like I didn't have a job, I didn't have a family, I didn't have any mortgage or rent or anything. It was just me on the road, open and free, and deciding where I could be. So I ended up living there. It was probably like a week and a half that I've known these people, and I was invited to stay with them. And I could also feel that I was desired because I made the space better. I kind of filled up where this place was lacking. I filled in the space where the space was lacking. And I provided a resource, amplification, wisdom, and grounding and experience that I gained when I was in Peru a couple years ago from that moment. So it made sense for me to be there. And it was a wild ride, to say the least. Like there was so much that was happening, and I was learning so much about relationships and roles. I was quickly put into the role of like Papa Bear for this medicine carrier's daughter, and it was fun to like be in co-parenting situations with people that lived in this house. And it was like it was honestly like a dream come true to me because I didn't think that I would have medicine and ceremony again. I only thought that could only be a thing in Peru. It's now the pandemic, and Peru is a long gone dream at that point. So for me to be close to medicine, to be helping people in this transformational space, to be learning about songs, to be learning about all this wisdom, it truly felt like a dream come true. Like it was like we were living on 60 acres of land in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of nature, and it was just so beautiful. Again, it was like the dream come true. Like, how could I say no to this? And yeah, and there was moments where like I would see certain things, like there would be like certain red flags that I would get, and I kind of chose to overlook them or make excuses or believe something different. Yeah, I wanted to overlook them, make excuses, or believe something different, these red flags, because this was the person that was giving me access to this medicine. This was the person that was elevating me to a position of power because she liked me. And also I didn't want to leave this. I didn't want to go back to nothing. So I kind of just like bit my tongue, looked the other way, made excuses, made exceptions. And yeah, of course, like we are human, we are messy, we are human, and we have these parts that are just like all over the place. So I also wanted to see that part as well. And I did. And I was a part of it. And because of it, I became even more liked and desired because I was not a voice of opposition to her, to the space, to anything. I was just kind of very easygoing with all of that. And so there was a few other people that lived with us, and they were like, these were people that were already living there when I got there. And some of these people, they began to point out certain things in her or like ask her for a conversation about certain behaviors or actions and thoughts. And they were really putting themselves out there. They were being vulnerable and like wanting to create closeness by talking about things. And very quickly, she would turn things around and make it like they are the bad guy and that something's wrong with them and she is right and she is a victim in this, and how dare they say anything about her when she's trying to do her best. And it was very easy to believe in that. It was very easy to not see the opposition and choose to believe her as the one in the right and the others as the ones in the wrong. And then she would quickly like have us remove them and kick them out of the living situation just to create more of that bubble and more of approval and no opposition happening. And I would kind of have like a little thought about it, but it was so much easier to believe and be convinced that she was right and they were wrong and they were just jealous or they were just whatever she wanted them to be. And that would happen until like it was just like myself and this one other guy that was very also accommodating and close. And we were like a tight-knit three-way circle situation. By the way, there was no sex happening amongst us. There was so much shame and repression around sensuality, sexuality as something that was not present in the space. It was all like platonic, but still a lot of like roles of father, of parent, of boyfriend, of friend, of all of these. Like it was very like confusing. There was like a lot of codependency that was happening. And I would have my friends from Jersey, from Texas, I would invite them out and be like, come to ceremony weekend, come be with my life, come be with this amazing medicine and this amazing medicine carrier. And when they would come, they would see certain things and they would try to like be like, hey Danny, like there's codependency happening here, or hey Danny, like there's something just like not fully loving here, like what's happening, are you okay? And they would point out certain things about her and about the situation, and I could not see it. I would just feel like threatened. I'd feel that they were a threat to my reality, to this person, to medicine, and I could not trust them, and I would kind of like distance myself from my friends, even though they were just trying to help me. But that's how enwrapped and entranced I was within this experience. And it was hard work. It was hard work. For one, we would make medicine for like a week, and that is a strenuous experience, making medicine in her house. And then we would recover from making medicine, so a little break, and then we would get ready to receive people for ceremony, and then we would be in ceremony weekend, and then we would kind of like take a little breather after ceremony weekend to like recharge and reboot, and then we would make medicine again. So we were in this continuous cycle of medicine and creating and building her business and her offering. And there was never any space to truly integrate and take a pause and a breath away. Yeah, like these moments of like break, but that was just kind of like, I need to rest, I need to feed myself, I need to just like, it was like burnout, just living in burnout, and it was hard. So there was no space to like integrate or reflect or just do something different. Like we're just constantly immersed in this reality of ayahuasca for this medicine carrier. And on top of that, there was drama from her baby daddy who was heroin addicted, and there was like stealing involved and like a lot of threats around their daughter, and there was like, it was tumultuous because like it would definitely like create a lot of like ripples and like fractures within our space, and it would take like energy and resilience to stay grounded and resilient and to be able to co-regulate and create regulation within our nervous systems from like all this drama. And then on top of that, we had Homeland Security at our house at one point, and they were kind of like flagged in the system. And so we were no longer having ceremony at our house. We were kind of finding new places and organizing how to make this work and be under the cover. And there was always like this underlying stress. And then I was continuously like coaching this medicine carrier on like, you can do this, like you got this, like you are capable. So yeah, there was like a lot of that energy present in the space. And and then like there comes a time where the entire household gets sick with COVID. And I'm one of the last ones. I didn't think I was gonna get sick. And she was like, we gotta continue ceremony. We can't stop. There's no stopping this. And I was like, yeah, I got us. Like, I'm not sick right now. I can carry us, and I will hold what I need to hold and be who I need to be. And as ceremony gets closer, everyone starts getting a little bit better, and I get really, really sick. So then she says I can't come to ceremony anymore. And I was like, okay. And this is my kind of my first time to be able to have like a break and a pause and be away from all the enmeshment and be away from all the drama and just like be with myself and reflect. And it was a good moment. It was a good weekend for me to have that because it's something I needed just to like recover and rest. I literally was sick with COVID. So, yeah. And they all come back, and I could feel that something is tense and something is off. And the other main guy that was helping, he comes to her and says that he is realizing that he needs to take a break and that he's asking for a pause and a break from being in ceremony weekend. He's realizing some things around medicine and ceremony and who he is and his role in all these relationships that he has, and that he needs to take a little pause because it's kind of being too much. He's tired. And this did not go well with her. This immediately just triggered all her shadow, all her darkness, all her unhealed wounds. It just triggered her so much. Like the house felt very tense. It felt very uncomfortable. It was very dysregulating. And there was like a moment where like she was kind of being like passive aggressive and kind of like cold shoulder and like mean and kind of very unkind to the other guy, and as if he didn't even exist in the space. And like she was like crying to me, asking me if I was gonna leave. Like she was very concerned, she was very scared. It was very like there was just so much like this person just fell apart into a million pieces. And it was very scary because I'm like, damn, like you're supposed to be my leader. Like you're supposed to be like someone that is leading this community. And this is what happens. Someone asks for a pause and a break and suddenly it's the end of the world. That was kind of scary. I was like, okay, like I think I got this. I think I can hold this. Like I think I can continue. Like I think it's gonna be okay. And she's still being very, and it's like not like there's still like chance for him to stay. Like it's not like doesn't mean it's over, but like the way she's behaving and talking to him, like it's like he doesn't even exist, like he's dead and like she's moved on. And that was very concerning to me because I really love and care for this person. And he is someone that is vital and necessary for us to work as a team. And yeah, then there comes a point where like she just leaves. She leaves with her daughter, and it's just like we have no idea where she went. She's just out there somewhere, and we're like, what is happening? Like we need to like sit down and have a conversation and work through this and find some understanding, because like we all live together and we are a team and we need each other. And now you're gone. And like in those moments of her being gone, like things just started going down. Like the reality itself started to collapse. And then there was like kind of like brief moments of like these very like scary text messages. Like we were worried and concerned for her life. Like we didn't know how stable she was, and because these messages were just very concerning. And she would not answer us. She would turn her phone off again and kind of block us out. And it's like, dude, like we gotta talk, but what's happening? And then suddenly like the other guy is like, I think I just have to go. And he just starts packing and leaving and moving out. And I'm just like, oh my God, like what is happening right now? Like what is going on? And that leaves me to where like I need space. So I got an Airbnb and I decided to reflect and sit even longer with myself about like, who is this person? Who am I? And I started to realize a lot of my dark ways, of my shadowy ways, of my unintegrated ways, of how they perfectly complemented this person and enabled this person to be who they are. And I was like, whoa, like this is like not okay. Like I have an active role in some dark stuff here, and I cannot be around this person because it's only going to continue to perpetuate and further toxic patterns and unhealthy ways. And I was scared. I was scared because like I felt that if I didn't address these things within myself, it was only going to reflect into the space, and it was only going to create harm for guests and participants that were coming to heal on this medicine, because I am sitting here acting like I am like fully integrated and amazing and know what I'm doing. But meanwhile, like, I don't even have space or room to address these core wounds, these core toxic traits and patterns that are existing with me, and allowing to complement with this other person who is also very toxic and wounded. So I had to say goodbye. I had to leave. And it was a very heartbreaking thing, because it's something that I really, really wanted. And I knew that, like, we're just humans trying to do our best, but I also knew that we could not be together. We could not be in each other's presence, because it only meant that we would continue to run these patterns of harm. And I genuinely was concerned that we would harm someone for being so out of integrity and out of alignment with being a leader, with being who we are, with being who we know in our hearts to be. So yeah, it was a very jarring experience. I packed my stuff up and I left to go be with my parents, to go be back at my parents' home, because that's all I had, only place I could turn at that point, and reflect and process and grieve and feel. And I also stole plant material to make ayahuasca, because I needed to have insurance that I would never come back to this woman to be in ceremony again, to ever run these ways of being with this person ever. And I felt terrible for also doing that, because I didn't even want it. I was like, this is not what I even want. Like, this is not it. Why did I do that? And eventually I had to come out to this person and relieve myself from this burden of this shameful act of stealing from someone and making medicine by myself. So yeah, I never went back, and I will never go back, and we don't speak. And it's been a few years now, and I've dived in profoundly into this work. And my prayer was and is for this person to be free, to be integrated, to be at peace, to be whole, and to have grace in their life. So that's my story.